Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and deciding that today is the day you'll stop eating sugar. No pastries with your coffee, no juice, no late-night ice cream to calm your mind. For the first few hours, it feels fine. You're motivated, even excited. But then a quiet storm begins inside your brain. Your thoughts start to circle around everything sweet, and before you realize it, you're not just craving sugar, you're missing it, like an old friend. Most people think quitting sugar is a diet change, but it's far more than that. It's a neurological battle. The sugar you've been feeding your body for years has built neural pathways, automatic signals that scream for more every few hours. When you take that away, your brain doesn't just adjust instantly, it fights back. Within the first 24 hours, the dopamine levels that sugar used to spike start to drop. Dopamine, the brain's pleasure molecule, is what makes sugar feel so good, so comforting, so safe. Without it, you start to feel slightly empty, maybe even anxious. It's not hunger, it's withdrawal. And that's the first thing science reveals about this 30-day journey. It's not your body that struggles at first. It's your brain. It's the silent war happening behind your eyes that defines everything that follows. Every time you eat sugar, your brain lights up like a Christmas tree. The nucleus accumbens, your brain's reward center, bursts into activity, releasing waves of dopamine that tell you, this feels good, do it again. It's the same system activated by substances like nicotine and cocaine. That's why sugar isn't just tasty, it's habit-forming at a deep neurological level. Studies show that sugar hijacks the brain's natural reward circuits, creating an artificial sense of pleasure. Over time, the brain adapts. It needs more sugar to feel the same level of satisfaction. This is how tolerance forms, the same way it does with addictive drugs. The more you consume, the less pleasure you get, and the more you crave. What makes this even more dangerous is how socially acceptable sugar is. It hides in your cereal, your yogurt, your sauces, even your healthy snacks. Your brain doesn't care where it comes from. It reacts the same way every time. The hit, the rush, the crash. So when you decide to quit sugar, you're not just resisting temptation, you're undoing years of brain conditioning. And that process begins with withdrawal, confusion, and eventually, liberation. By the third day, your brain starts to panic. The quick bursts of energy it used to rely on are gone. You might feel foggy, irritable, maybe even depressed. Your body is fine. It's your mind that's screaming. It's searching for the next dopamine hit that never comes. This is when most people quit. Not because they're weak, but because they don't understand what's happening. The brain isn't used to being denied something it loves. Scientists call this phase neurochemical adaptation. Essentially, your brain's chemistry is recalibrating. The neurons that once fired easily are now struggling to find balance. If you push through these first few days, something fascinating starts to happen. Your brain begins producing dopamine naturally again, not from sugar, but from other rewards like sleep, movement, and accomplishment. You start to rediscover what real energy feels like. And it's in this fragile window between chaos and clarity that your brain begins to evolve. The addiction starts to fade, and control slowly shifts back to you. Have you ever noticed that sadness that hits after giving up something you love? That's exactly what happens when your brain loses sugar. It's not just a craving, it's emotional. Dopamine doesn't only make you feel good, it regulates your mood, your motivation, your sense of reward. Without the constant sugar spikes, those systems start to run on empty. During this stage, many people feel unmotivated or even melancholy. It's the brain's way of saying, I don't understand what's happening. But inside this temporary darkness, something powerful is brewing. The rebuilding of balance.
neurons begin to reset their sensitivity to dopamine. Your brain is learning to enjoy smaller, more genuine rewards again. Researchers have found that after about 10 to 14 days without sugar, dopamine receptors start to heal. This is when the cravings weaken and emotional stability starts to return. You're no longer a prisoner of instant gratification. It's ironic. The thing you once needed to feel happy is the same thing that was stealing your happiness all along. By the end of the first week, your body joins the fight your brain started. The liver begins to clear excess glucose stored as fat, while insulin sensitivity slowly improves. You might notice headaches, fatigue, or even flu-like symptoms, signs of your body flushing out what's been accumulated for years. Your gut microbiome also starts to shift. The bacteria that thrived on sugar begin to die off, replaced by colonies that feed on fiber and whole foods. This change directly affects your mood because over 90% of serotonin, your happiness chemical, is produced in the gut. As balance returns, your mind starts to feel calmer, clearer, lighter. But the real transformation is invisible. Underneath the surface, your brain and body are synchronizing. Neural inflammation decreases. Your blood sugar stabilizes. The energy crashes that once defined your afternoons begin to disappear. Most people don't make it past this point, but those who do start to notice something incredible: clarity. And speaking of clarity, tell me in the comments, would you be able to last a full month without sugar? Or would the cravings win before the first week ends? I'm curious how long you think you'd last. Let me know in the comments. Do you think you could go a full month without sugar, or would the cravings win before the first week ends? I'm curious how long you think you'd last. By the second week, a strange fog begins to settle over your thoughts. You wake up feeling slower, as if your brain is running on a low battery. It's not imagination. Studies show that glucose withdrawal directly affects mental clarity. The brain, which depends on glucose as its main fuel, is now being forced to adapt to a new, steadier energy source. You might notice small changes in your mood: irritability, frustration, even bursts of anger. It's the brain's defense mechanism. Deprived of its quick sugar rushes, it starts to protest, releasing stress hormones like cortisol. This is when many people reach for just one bite, hoping to silence the discomfort. But that one bite resets the addiction cycle, pulling the brain back into chaos.
During this foggy stage, your body is quietly transforming. Your mitochondria, the tiny power plants of your cells, begin to use fat as a more sustainable energy source. It's a slow switch, but once it stabilizes, your focus starts returning sharper than ever. If you can endure this mental haze, the light that comes next is worth it. Because after the storm of confusion comes the calm of control. By day 15, something fascinating happens inside your head: rewiring. Neural pathways that were once dominated by sugar-related triggers begin to weaken. The brain starts forming new connections, ones that associate reward with sleep, movement, or focus instead of a slice of cake. This is neuroplasticity in action. MRI scans show that people who quit sugar for several weeks exhibit changes in their prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and impulse control. In simple terms, your willpower gets stronger because your brain is physically changing. You're not just resisting sugar, you're evolving beyond it. You might also begin noticing that the emotional highs and lows have leveled out. Without constant sugar spikes and crashes, your mood becomes steady. You start feeling like you again, but clearer, calmer, and more grounded. It's at this stage that you realize the truth. Quitting sugar isn't losing something. It's reclaiming control over who's really driving your mind. Around day 20, you wake up feeling different. Your mind feels light, almost peaceful. The fog has lifted. You can think faster, remember better, and focus longer. What's happening is not magic.
It's metabolic balance. Your brain is finally running on a consistent flow of energy, free from the roller coaster of sugar spikes. This clarity isn't just mental, it's emotional. People often describe a sense of confidence they haven't felt in years. The anxiety that sugar used to fuel begins to fade, replaced by quiet energy and emotional steadiness. You start realizing that your brain wasn't tired all those years, it was overloaded. Scientists call this stage cognitive restoration. It's when the neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, and acetylcholine, start firing in perfect rhythm again. You begin to experience what your brain was designed for: sustained focus and natural motivation. It's the moment most people never reach because they give up too soon. But those who do, they often say it feels like waking up for the first time. By the fourth week, your short-term memory starts improving noticeably. Tasks that once felt overwhelming now flow with ease. You remember names, dates, and details with clarity. Studies have shown that high sugar intake impairs the hippocampus, the brain's center for learning and memory, the same region affected in early Alzheimer's. Without sugar constantly inflaming your brain cells, neurons can finally communicate efficiently. Synaptic plasticity, your brain's ability to form new connections, increases dramatically. It's like your brain's foggy windshield has been wiped clean. You begin to experience longer attention spans, deeper focus, and even enhanced creativity. Ideas that once seemed out of reach now connect effortlessly. It's as if your noise in your head finally quieted down, leaving space for brilliance. And the best part? You didn't take a pill or buy a supplement. You simply stopped poisoning your brain with excess sugar and let it heal itself. Few people realize how deeply sugar is tied to anxiety. Every spike and crash in blood sugar triggers stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart races, your thoughts spiral, and you mistake the chemical chaos for emotional distress. But the truth is simpler. It's just your brain reacting to imbalance.
Researchers from Princeton and Harvard have shown that chronic sugar consumption actually rewires the amygdala, the brain's fear center, making you more prone to anxiety and overreaction. It's not in your head, it's chemical. When you remove sugar, that overactive system begins to calm down, and your emotional resilience strengthens. By the end of the third week, many people report an unexpected sense of inner peace. The racing thoughts slow down. Sleep improves. Even social interactions feel easier. The brain, once enslaved by spikes of dopamine, has finally found rhythm. So now I want to ask you, honestly, could you survive those first few brutal weeks without giving in? Drop your answer in the comments below. Let's see who's got the willpower to take on the 30-day sugar challenge. Somewhere around the fourth week, something remarkable happens. Your brain learns to thrive without sugar. It no longer needs the roller coaster of highs and crashes. Instead, it starts running on a smoother, steadier fuel, ketones. These are molecules produced when your body burns fat for energy, and the brain loves them. They provide cleaner power, sharper focus, and longer endurance. People often describe this stage as feeling limitless. You wake up without needing caffeine. Your energy no longer dips after lunch. Your thoughts flow effortlessly. The brain, once enslaved by sugar's instant gratification, now works in harmony with your metabolism. Scientific studies confirm that ketones can actually improve mitochondrial efficiency and reduce oxidative stress, meaning your brain literally ages slower. You feel mentally sharper, emotionally balanced, and even physically lighter. And the most surprising part? You realize that the energy you were chasing in sweet snacks was already inside you, just waiting for the noise of sugar to fade. The improvements don't stop at focus. When you remove sugar, your sleep cycles begin to repair themselves. You fall asleep faster and wake up more rested. That's because sugar disrupts melatonin production and raises cortisol, two hormones that control rest and alertness.
Once balanced, your body finally remembers what true rest feels like. Your mood stabilizes too. The emotional turbulence you once thought was just life turns out to have been chemical imbalance. The absence of sugar lowers inflammation in the brain, which has been linked to depression and anxiety. The result? You start laughing more easily, thinking more clearly, and reacting with patience instead of frustration. Creativity also blooms during this phase. With the brain free from the constant sugar crash, your imagination stretches further. You start connecting ideas faster, as if someone finally turned the lights back on. In a world overloaded with stimulation, this calm focus feels like a superpower. You don't just think better, you feel better in ways that science is only beginning to understand. Now comes the real test. After 30 days without sugar, what happens when you take that first bite again? The answer surprises most people. It's overwhelming. The taste feels too sweet, almost artificial. Your brain, now sensitive and balanced, reacts strongly to the dopamine surge. What once felt comforting now feels chaotic. This is where awareness kicks in. You realize that the pleasure sugar gave you was never real satisfaction. It was a chemical illusion. After detoxing, the body doesn't crave it anymore. The mind sees sugar for what it is, a shortcut that robs you of natural joy. Some people, however, find themselves tempted to slip back in. It's natural. The brain remembers the high. But now you have knowledge on your side. You've experienced clarity, peace, and energy without it. The choice becomes easier because you've felt the difference. The truth is, once your brain has tasted freedom, it rarely wants to go back to chains. It sounds extreme, but science is beginning to say yes. Sugar triggers the same reward pathways as narcotics, alters brain chemistry, and causes withdrawal symptoms.
Functional MRI scans reveal identical activity patterns between sugar and drug addicts. The only difference? Sugar is legal and everywhere. Researchers argue that the addictive potential of sugar lies in its ability to combine taste, reward, and comfort all at once. It gives you the illusion of control while quietly rewriting your neural code. Over time, this dependency reshapes your emotional responses, decision-making, even your identity. So should we regulate it? Or is the answer education? Understanding what it does and reclaiming power over our own choices? The answer isn't simple, but one thing is certain. Sugar addiction is real, and it's changing the human brain in ways we can no longer ignore. And if you found this topic fascinating, you'll want to keep exploring how the brain reacts to extreme conditions. Watch What Happens to Your Brain If You Fast for 24 Hours, Science Explained. It dives even deeper into the science of adaptation and mental resilience. 30 days. That's all it takes to completely rewire the human brain. From the chaos of withdrawal to the calm of balance, your mind transforms in ways most people never experience. You don't just quit sugar. You rediscover what real energy, real focus, and real happiness feel like. It's not the sugar that gives you life. It's the freedom from needing it. In those first painful days, you learned discipline. In the middle of the fog, you learned patience. And in the final week, when clarity finally arrived, you learned something far greater: control. Not over food, but over your mind. Science calls it neuroplasticity, but in truth, it's something deeper. It's proof that the brain can heal, evolve, and thrive, if only you give it a chance. After 30 days, sugar no longer feels like a comfort. It feels like a distraction. The dopamine highs, the emotional swings, the brain fog, they're gone. You've built a brain that runs clean, that chooses peace over pleasure. And perhaps, for the first time, you understand what real sweetness actually is: the clarity of a healthy mind. So if you've ever wondered whether you could do it, whether you could survive 30 days without sugar, the answer is yes. Not only can you survive it, you might never want to go back. If this journey inspired you, take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs a fresh start. Every share helps more people discover the science and the strength behind changing their minds for the better.